Okay, we are live. So hello and welcome everyone. Again, my name is Alyssa Gardner, and I'm so thrilled to welcome you all to the 11th annual Rebel Grad Slam 3-minute thesis competition. The 3-minute thesis, or 3MT, competition model was developed at the University of Queensland in Australia in 2008. It spread to other universities in Australia and New Zealand in 2009 and 2010. By 2011, the 3MT competition phenomena had spread around the globe, and now more than 600 universities from more than 65 countries hold these competitions. In 2014, UNLV held our first 3MT, the Rebel Grad Slam, and this year is our 11th annual Research Rumble. The 3MT is a fantastic opportunity for students to learn how to convey who they are, what they study, why they study it, and how they study it, what they found or expect to find, and why it matters to an audience of people who are mostly outside of their field. It is an opportunity to build public speaking and communication skills, and to polish one's elevator speech describing what they study as graduate students. It's worth noting that our slammers come from all over campus and from a wide range of disciplines. Some are first-year students, some are in their final year, some slammers are master's students, others are advanced doctoral candidates. It's a diverse pool of over 90 graduate students competing here this week. So today we have a group of UNLV graduate students who have randomly assigned to compete in this preliminary session. Each student will present their research in 3 minutes or less using one slide and no props. We will introduce each student and then start the timer. If a student goes over 3 minutes, they will be eliminated from the competition. Slammers are encouraged to pace themselves and use their 3 minutes without going over. It's not easy, but it's what the 3MT is all about. Okay, so I'm just going to go over a few guidelines here for our slammers. So please make sure to keep your microphone on mute and video off when other competitors are presenting. Only turn on your microphone and video when you are presenting. Please be sure to stay for the entire session, even after you are done presenting. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat in between presenters. Please don't use the chat during anyone's presentation, as it could be distracting. You may sit or stand while presenting. You only have 2 minutes and 59 seconds and 1 chance to compete. After I introduce you, our Zoom host will advance to your presentation slide. You may then begin your presentation. Once you begin speaking, we will start the timer and you will not be able to restart your presentation unless something beyond your control occurs. You will be able to see the Zoom timer at the top of your screen once you start talking. Please don't stop unless I stop you. Don't worry though, if you lose Wi-Fi or are disconnected, please just join back in. We'll wait a minute for you and then go to the next presenter. If that happens, you can redo your presentation at the end. And please remember that you may not read your presentation or use any notes on the screen in front of you. Okay, now let's turn our attention to the scoring for this Research Rumble. The judges will be assessing our competitors based on metrics which total 24 possible points in 4 major areas. Those include comprehension, content, engagement, and communication. Each judge will independently score each competitor. Judges will not penalize competitors for unanticipated disruptions that are beyond the slammer's control. At the end of the presentations, we will tally the judges' combined scores for each grad slammer and announce the winners right here live in this session. The top 3 in the session will advance to the semifinals tomorrow. I'd like to note that this round of the competition is happening live in Zoom and simultaneously aired on the Grad College YouTube channel. To give you a sense of this year's competition, over 90 students are competing in the preliminary rounds. Around 36 will move on to the semifinals. and only about 9 will advance to our final round this Friday at 4 p.m., November 8th, in the Greenspun Auditorium. So without further ado, let me introduce the judges, and then we'll get on to our 3MT Research Rumble. We have a distinguished set of judges here today in today's session. So judges, I welcome you to turn on your camera and wave a brief hello when I call your name and introduce you. So our judges today include Carlos Dimas. Okay. We also have Rafael Oganesium from Academic Affairs Office of Undergraduate Research. We have Alexis Kennedy from Urban Affairs. We have Ala Kiko from Sciences. Hello. And we have Christy Correa Davis from Academic Affairs. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so we are ready to officially begin the competition. Okay, our first presenter today is Selena Zeng. The presentation is The Burning Wood and the Everlasting Flame, Understanding School Counselor Burnout and Turnover Intentions. So as soon as you see your slide, you may begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Selena. Today, I'd like to share a simple analogy to explain why school counselors are so important and why we need to study the burnout and turnover in this profession. Imagine school counselors are a piece of wood cut from the tree, and the flame represents the school's achievements. The wood feeds the flame, make it burn brighter and hotter. But just like how wood eventually get consumed and become scarce, school counselors also face huge pressure. Over time, they can feel burnout from constantly giving and giving without receiving enough support. In this analogy, oxygen is all the things make the burnout worse. Things like increasing the workload, lack of support, and even hidden issues like biases or racism happen in the school environment. As the flame grows stronger, more wood is cut down to keep it going. That means more and more counselors are recruited to fill these demanding roles. But if this keeps going unchecked, soon we will find out there's less and less wood, which means fewer and fewer counselors left who are willing and able to do the job. Why are school counselors so vital? They're not just there to solve students' problems. They're bridges for students' emotional health, behaviors, and academic success. They play a crucial role in students' development, especially in schools with diverse cultural backgrounds, where understanding and supporting different communities is very essential. But if we don't pay attention to the pressure school counselors face and take steps to prevent burnout and turnover, this shortage of counselors will become a serious problem for schools. That's why my current research and my future research will be focused on understanding the reasons behind school counselors' burnout and why they leave the profession, particularly in schools with diverse ethnic and cultural backgrounds. It's not just about protecting the counselor's well-being, it's also about ensuring the students always receive a stable and high-quality support. When counselors burn out, it doesn't just affect their health, it also impacts their ability to help students in the long term. Addressing these issues is essential for improving counselors' retention, reducing their stress, and creating a better environment for students to thrive. I believe that if we recognize the irreplaceable value of the pieces of wood, which is our counselors, and make changes to reduce the burden on them, the flame of education can burn strong and steady for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we'll now give our judges a minute to enter their scores in the rubric. Okay, judges, just a reminder that this presenter is not here today. So if you would please enter ones in your rubric, we'll give you a moment to do so before we proceed to our next presenter. Our next presenter is Srushti Wagh, with presenting on solving the mystery of intellectual disabilities, the role of one key protein. You may begin when you see your slide.
Imagine trying to solve a puzzle, but you're missing some pieces. For people with intellectual disabilities, everyday tasks like learning or solving problems can feel just like that. They're missing the critical tools needed to succeed. So what exactly happens during the brain development that causes intellectual disabilities? Now imagine by understanding just one protein could unlock the treatment for the disorders that affect millions, including autism and intellectual disabilities, as these neurodevelopmental disorders disrupt how the brain forms, leading to lifelong challenges like learning, thinking, and adapting to everyday life. Despite how common these conditions are, their root causes still remains a mystery. But what if a single protein could hold the key? Meet NONO, a protein that plays a critical role in gene expression and RNA processing, which is really essential for our neurons to grow, connect, and communicate properly. Think of it as a conductor of an orchestra, ensuring all the instruments, that is, our neurons, are in sync. But what if this conductor goes out of tune? Then definitely the whole brain's development can go off course. In my research, I study non-protein levels at different stages of brain development using an interesting method called Western blotting. It is just like checking ink levels in the printer, as this method allows me to see how much protein is present at each stage and how it changes with time. As ink in the printer fades with time, nanoprotein decreases with age. By mapping these patterns, I aim to understand whether these protein imbalances could be a major factor driving intellectual disabilities. Also, by understanding the role of nano, we could revolutionize how we treat or even prevent these conditions. If we can fix these protein imbalances early on, we can actually reshape the entire course of brain development, just like solving the puzzle right before the pieces go missing. In short, my study aims to reveal how the single protein might hold the answers to some of the most profound questions about brain development. I'm just offering hope to millions of people affected with intellectual disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and we will give the judges another minute to enter their scores. Okay, pleased to introduce our next presenter, Gabson Baguma, and his topic is Cleaners or Contaminants, the Disinfectant Byproducts Threat of Quaternary Ammonium Surfactants.
Good afternoon, everyone. Imagine the world at the peak of COVID-19 pandemic. We were constantly wiping down our surfaces, spraying down with disinfectants, and using sanitizers in all effort to keep ourselves clean. But what if these cleaners are doing more harm than the good we think? So today, I'm talking about the hidden threat that is within this class of compounds known as the Quaternary ammonium surfactants, which are widely used in disinfectants. I'm very sure most of you would have used them today in the household cleaners and in the personal care products that we use today. So while these surfactants are effective in killing germs, they don't just vanish. These flow into our wastewater treatment systems. And for the case of Las Vegas, we know we rely entirely on water reuse systems. So these they can go through the wastewater treatment system and eventually can enter surface waters, which is our Lake Mead, and eventually enter into our water treatment plants. And in this, they can transform into something much more dangerous that can react with these water treatment procedures like disinfection and result into the formation of these toxic substances known as disinfection byproducts. So these ones are known to be toxic, some even are carcinogenic. So my research investigates how these quaternary ammonium surfactant compounds can combine with water treatment processes like ozonation, chlorination or chloramination and lead to the formation of these toxic substances. I believe that by studying these reactions, I can aim to uncover the specific pathways that can turn everyday cleaners into potentially harmful contaminants. Here is why this matters. Millions of people, including us here, will rely on tap water that may contain these traces of these byproducts. So my research seeks to inform safe water treatment practices so that we can keep using essential cleaning products without compromising our health. So these cleaners saving lives or silently contaminating our water, my research is going to help to answer the question and ultimately keep us safe from everyone. I want to thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabson. And judges, please take a minute to score. Our next presenter today is Ariana Garcia. I never got to be just a student. How Latinx graduate students experience basic needs. Ariana, you may begin when you are ready.
Graduate students play a key role in higher education institutions. They are responsible for teaching a large portion of undergraduate classes, for contributing to cutting-edge research that push institutions forward, and they hold administrative roles. Yet there is not a single institution in the nation that pays graduate students a living wage. So given the important role that they play in higher education institutions, how can we expect them to be successful when they are not given the means to meet their basic needs? So Maslow defines basic needs as the physiological and safety needs like food, shelter, security, and health that are foundational to meeting self-actualization. And decades worth of basic needs literature has found that it's difficult for students to do well academically when their basic needs are not being met. Yet we know very little about the experiences of basic needs of graduate students, and even less about the experiences of how Latinx graduate students experience basic needs and security. And so while Latinx students are increasing participation in higher education, they still remain underrepresented, specifically in graduate education. They comprise 13% of master's degree earners and 10% of doctoral degree earners. However, Latinx students have come from many different backgrounds, many being low income, first generation college students, immigrant backgrounds, that all make accessing basic needs that much more difficult. And so it's important to consider intersectionality when we talk about Latinx graduate students. So I conducted a study on Latinx graduate students using written and oral testimonials with students across the nation. And I found that Latinx graduate students are experiencing basic needs insecurity, including food, housing, and safety, all at the intersection of their identities. So for example, many Latinas in the study held cultural and gendered familial responsibilities like caring for aging parents, taking care of younger siblings, and caring for their own children. And that made securing safe housing that much more difficult on a graduate student stipend. Additionally, many graduate students had difficulty accessing comprehensive health care, and this disproportionately impacted students with disabilities and students who are low income, and they had to decide between having a necessary medical procedure and food. And additionally, where students attended graduate school made a large difference as well. They attended in states that were banning diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and they lost access to necessary resources that were helping them meet their basic needs, like Latinx group counseling, food pantries, and so on. And so institutions had many restrictions that created difficulties for students to meet basic needs, such as only offering one-year funding, lack of summer funding, not providing health insurance, and restricting outside work. And this environment created an environment for Latinx students where they were constantly having to be applying to graduate assistantships, fellowships, scholarships, and they were never allowed to just be a student. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And judges, please take another moment to score. Our last presenter today is Melissa Bothwell, The Breath of Mind, How Respiration Shapes Conscious States. So Melissa, you may begin when
I get really nervous when I give talks like these. And when I get nervous, I notice that my breathing changes. This is something that my lab is really interested in. How does the way you breathe affect the way you think, the way you feel, even the way you experience reality? Serotonin might be the key player here. Serotonin is the molecule in your brain involved in cognitive functioning, sleep, emotional regulation, but few people know that serotonin is also intimately involved in both respiration and consciousness. You can think of serotonin as a key, and the different types of receptors it binds to as the locks. And when serotonin binds to different receptors, or when the key enters different locks, it has different effects. Well, there's a specific lock we're interested in, called the 5-HT2A receptor. Because not only has this receptor been tied to the regulation of respiration, it's also thought to be the primary target that induces an altered state of consciousness when activated by psychedelics like psilocybin, LSD, or DOI. So this got us thinking. If this receptor is involved in both respiration and consciousness, then how would activating it affect these processes? To answer this question, we use the psychedelic DOI, which you can think of as a key that looks a lot like serotonin, so it can fit into the 5-HT2A receptor and activate it. We use carbon dioxide, or CO2, because it induces a transient loss of consciousness in mice. So this way, using DOI and CO2, we could see how activating the 5-HT2A lock affected respiration and consciousness in the response to CO2. As you can see in 6, where each line represents a breath, the mice that had the 5-HT2A lock activated, so those in blue there at the bottom that were pre-treated with the psychedelic DOI, they had a significantly higher rate of respiration. And as you can see in 7, they actually gained consciousness quicker. So these findings suggest that activating the 5-HT2A lock may accelerate the recovery of consciousness, and likely does so at least in part through increasing respiration. So what does this all mean? These findings have implications for respiratory disorders like central sleep apnea, where the brain isn't properly responding to high levels of CO2 in the blood. And it also may have implications for what you may think of as disorders of consciousness, where we know the serotonergic system is implicated, like in mental health disorders. Well, in conclusion, there's still a lot of work to be done to figure out exactly how serotonin and its receptors shape our experience of reality, but these findings bring us one step closer to understanding the link between respiration and consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. So we will give our judges a moment to score Melissa's presentation, and then we'll share some additional announcements. Thank you. Okay, as judges are completing their scores, thank you all so much for joining this preliminary round, and thank you to the Grad College team who have made this 3MT event possible. Now, just stay tuned. We will announce the winners live in just a few minutes. Judges, please be sure to press submit at the bottom of your scoring rubric so that it goes through for us to tally the scores. While there are only going to be 3 winners of this round who will progress to the semifinals, all participants are winners of a Rebel Grad Slam t-shirt, which you can pick up at the Rebel Grad Slam finals reception this Friday. For the preliminary rounds, our first place winner will receive a $300 scholarship award. Our second place winner receives $200, and our third place winner today receives $100, and all will advance to the semifinals. So please just stay tuned while we tally the scores, and I will be back shortly. Just a reminder, judges, please be sure to press submit when you have completed the form. Okay, everyone. So are you ready? We have our winners. So here are the winners of this preliminary session. I'll start backwards. So in third place, we have Gabson Baguma. Congratulations. In second place, we have Ariana Garcia. And in first place, we have Srushti Wagh. So thank you all so much for your participation today. All three of you have advanced to the semifinals session. Anyone is welcome to join and cheer them on and watch the semifinals session rounds this Thursday, November 7th. We have 3 sessions, one at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1:30 p.m. in the Greenspun Auditorium. And then everybody is invited also to attend our final round and reception on November 8th, starting at 4 p.m. in the Greenspun Auditorium. Lastly, we'll have your Rebel Grad Slam t-shirts available at that finals reception as well at 5 p.m. in the Greenspun lobby. We welcome you to RSVP for the finals event with the link that was just provided in the chat. Thank you everyone so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.